and women of the Orient, my voice comes to you from Washington, the beautiful capital of the United States. Washington today reflects the spirit of this great democracy. Lights burn far into the night in the vast buildings of this most beautiful of all nations. This is a feeling of speed in the air. It is the hurry of millions of people to get on with the winning of the war. For the business of America today is the business of war. Ships and planes, tanks and guns. Factories work through the day and the night. Marching men and flying men go forth from America in endless streams. They are the soldiers of freedom. They are coming to your rescue. Already on land, on sea, and in the air, they have proved themselves the masters of the hated Japs. I, whose voice you hear, have long been a man of peace, but I glory in this war, for this is a people's war, and the freedom of all mankind is its object. The hated Jap has come among you with honeyed words and false smile. He tells you first, if the Japs win the war, all the people of the Orient will gain their freedom. The Jap lies, and I will prove it. Second, he tells you that if the white man wins, he will not keep his promises. Again I say to you that the Jap lies, and I'll prove it. Third, he will tell you that President Roosevelt's Atlantic Charter and its application to the Pacific area means no more than President Wilson's self-determination promise meant after the last war. When the Jap says this, he also lies, and I will prove it. My fellow Koreans and my friends of Asia, heed my words. For nearly 50 years, I have tried to warn first you, my beloved countrymen, and then the world of the treacherous island savages of Nippon. This strange nation of a dwarfed race is as uncivilized today as it was hundreds of years ago. In those bygone days, clad only in the skins of animals, the barbarous creatures who raised around their rocky islands clubbed, robbed, and raped. They lacked music, they lacked art, they lacked literature. Just think, they are the one race who never made a single original contribution to civilization. Instead, when exposed to civilization, they begged, borrowed, and stole. And now, with the plunder of conquest, they would destroy civilization itself, were they able. Now I'll take up the Jap's promises to you of freedom for the people of the Orient. We, the Koreans, are the first victims of the Jap's treachery. This month, on the 29th day of August, Koreans outside of Korea are solemnly commemorating the saddest day of our history. For it was on August 29, 1910, that Japan formally annexed our country. Over the years since then, come the voices of our dead and our tortured. Out of their moans and cries of pain and anguish. There materializes before us the forms of the Japanese tyrant. We know him for what he is, the enemy of all humanity. We know him for the brute he is, for with gun, sword, and whip he imposed upon the unarmed and defenseless Koreans what we know he calls Japanese freedom. Men and women of the Orient, heed me well. Japanese freedom means slavery for you. It means robbery and pillage. It means homes destroyed. It means wives torn from the arms of their husbands. It means daughters desecrated and enslaved. It means sons beaten, shot, or degraded. It means your religion ridiculed and stamped out. It means the introduction of vices and crimes. It means chains of slavery and dungeons of despair. Do not believe the Jap murderers. Do not believe the Jap despoilers. Do not believe this wild animal who walks and talks like a man, but who acts more horribly than the most ferocious beast. Now I'll take the Jap's second lie, that the white man does not keep his promises. Where unfortunately the white man has not kept all his promises, but in international law which governs the society of nations, he has kept 9 out of 10 of his promises. And the Jap in international law has broken 10 out of 10 of his promises. Do you think think it a part of wisdom to believe one whose record of dishonor is so complete? How can we expect the truth from one whose lips have never uttered it? And now for the third lie of the Jap. What has he to say about the Atlantic Charter? He says President Roosevelt's Atlantic Charter is just as meaningless as President Wilson's promise of self-determination. He says they both were made to deceive, and neither was meant to fulfill. When he says this, he wants you to give up your hope of defeating and destroying him with the aid and cooperation of the United States. He wants you to turn around and fight for him. If President Wilson failed to carry out his promises, it was the little Jap himself who made it impossible for the United States to make the world safe for democracy. He knew that if the world is made safe for democracy, there will be no room for his imperialistic militarism. So he spent millions of dollars in this country for propaganda and made the American people believe that the Jap was their friend. With the moral support of the American people, he destroyed over 70,000 lives of Korean men, women, and children in his efforts to suppress the passive revolution of 1919 and made Korea safe for imperialism. But the treacherous bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, has exposed the Jap entirely naked, and the American people have found out through their bitter experience what the Jap really is. After this war, no American would allow himself to be again duped by the Jap. The American people will not allow their government to be duped again, either by Nomura or Crusoe or any other Jap. Do not listen to the little man of the island. Whatever he may say to you, He cannot and will not intend to give you any chance. His only design is to do you harm. He says he is your friend because he wants to get you. Once you are down at his feet, he will never allow you to get up. That's how he got the Koreans. Listen to what he does to the Korean and what he says about him. He adds insult to injury, and there is no end to it. The world is greatly surprised and disappointed at Mahatma Gandhi, the great leader of the Indian people, when he said that he would negotiate with Japan as soon as the Indian independence is achieved. I hope he has not said it. If Mr. Gandhi does not know the duplicity of the Jap as the Hun of the East, it is to be deeply regretted. I do not condone the injustice suffered by the Indian people at the hands of Great Britain, but let me tell you, my dear friends, the Indian under the chafing yoke of the white man is infinitely better off than the Korean under the iron heel of the Jap. The only way to get rid the world of this international gangsterism is to get all the freedom-loving peoples of the world together and fight to the finish until all the Japs are driven back into their islands and kept there. The stars and stripes, the sacred emblem of liberty and justice for all, leads the way. Let us march shoulder to shoulder against the despised Jap until victory is won. That is my message to you at this time.